So it's been a while. It's been a couple months since I have recorded and been back on YouTube, and as much as I would have liked to have documented my first semester a bit more, I don't regret it. I don't regret it just because, you know, I'm starting this whole new life journey and I just needed to get my feet in, dig in, and just grind. And that's what I've been doing for the past couple months. So now I'm coming to you in the first week of my second semester. We made it. We made it through the first semester of med school. Praise God. It was, well, we're going to get into it, what it was. So this video is a review of my first semester of medical school, and I'm going to be answering whether or not medical school is really giving what's supposed to be gave. Is it really what I expected, and how my expectations have kind of shifted? So let's get into it. The consensus is going into medical school that it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be time consuming. I know a lot of people use the analogy like drinking water with a straw from a fire hydrant. And I'm not going to say it's inaccurate. I just feel like as a student, when I heard that, I was like, that's overwhelming already. And I haven't even submitted the application. I'm already overwhelmed. But to me, I feel like if I could describe this past semester so far, I felt like I was given like an 1,000-piece puzzle and told to finish it in 10 minutes. And no matter if I had finished it or what, as long as the picture had somewhat came together, I was good enough to go to the next section. So what I mean by that is you're not going to know everything. You're not going to know everything. It's just impossible. But they will give you the pieces, you will have the connections, you will have professors who are willing to explain it to you. And you have lectures that cover various topics. And they do make a great effort at trying to connect the pieces for you, but because it's so much information, you have to try and connect the pieces yourself. So as long as you're able to get a decent grab of that by, the exam, then you're good to go. And you'll be surprised at how much you actually retain and how much you remember. Because I know at times I was like, how am I going to forget the exam? Well, not forget the exam, but like even past the exam, how am I going to remember this for clinicals? How am I going to take care of patients? I do not, till this day, I do not remember the Krebs cycle. I don't think it's in the cards for me to ever remember the Krebs cycle. But I knew it enough, I pieced it together enough to know it for the exam, and I moved on. So to continue the analogy, once you're done with that 10 minutes, the next 10 minutes dry up. And they give you another 1,000 pieces to add to the unfinished puzzle. So it's like continuing to add pieces to a puzzle, and you're having to kind of put the pieces together for yourself. And that can still be overwhelming when you think about it. But when you're in the gist of things, there are ways to make it easier and more manageable. And I'm going to get into that. So the way that it has been more manageable for me is that I love study groups. I love being able to talk through concepts. I love being able to hear how my classmates think about things. Because honestly, the way people think about things is both so interesting and it's also hilarious. So for example, one of my friends, we were talking about the coagulation cascade, and she went into the study session saying, I only know this one thing. But the one thing she said was so funny that when I actually got to the exam, it was the first question on the test, and I immediately thought my friend, and then my next thought was the answer. And so my point is that if you find a good community, a good study group that helps you put the pieces together. I might have this section of the puzzle. She might have this section of the puzzle. We put it together. Now we both got more than what we had. And so we make it to the next 10 minutes. Not to go on a tangent about that, but I think a lot of people have a problem with going into study groups and feeling like they are the one who knows the least. And valid. Nobody wants to feel, dumb. But it is totally okay. Everybody is learning here. Yes, everybody in medical school is smart, but everybody is also learning. So if you go to a study group and you literally don't have a clue, this is your time to get a clue. You have the most to gain from this session. And it doesn't mean you can't contribute. Because honestly, when you ask someone to explain something to you, they might be like, oh wow, I never considered it this way. If I explain it this way, I can remember it better for myself as well. So I just wanted to go and talk about that because I know, especially in like graduate schools and just higher education, it can be hard for people to, it can be hard for some people to be like, I just don't know what's going on. And I think we need to get out of that. Medical school is the ultimate humbling experience. You will not know everything. The earlier on in your experience that you get comfortable with that fact, the better off you will be. But on to the next subject. Let's talk about work-life balance. I came in preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. And what I mean by that is I came in, prepared to spend my days studying. I came prepared to give up my weekends and study, but I was hoping for the best, meaning that I was hoping I'd be able to take trips. I was hoping I'd be able to go out through the weeks. And I actually feel like I've been able to do both. On a spectrum of preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, I'm more so on the hoping for the best side, and I'm so happy for that because I had always heard that, medical school will take up your life. And I'm not gonna say medical school isn't a full-time job because it truly is. However, I'm not spending every hour of the day studying. I don't study every weekend. There are weekends I do not touch a book. Of course, you have to make the work up. And I don't feel like I get to a point where I cram. But medical school does not really build in a break for you. So you have to take your own break. The one thing that I love about my school, and I'm sure they do this for other schools, but I'm not totally sure. But they give us a whole Google Calendar for the semester, so you know what to expect. If my friends want to take a trip, I get on my Google Calendar and say, these are the weekends that I'm free. What can we do? Because I want to do it.
Poor people should never laugh.
If I'm going to be honest, when it comes to my social life, my arch nemesis is not medical school. My arch nemesis is COVID. Miss COVID is the one who won't get off of our necks. Medical school, we can still go out, have fun, I don't want people to think like, oh, I really have to give up my life. But I also don't want people to think that every day is a party because there are some things I've had to say no to. And I said it with a sad heart. I said it with a sad face, but I knew that if I did not study this material, they were going to snatch my Google Calendar. The rest of my Google Calendar would be cleared because deuces.
Go ahead, log off for me. I've had enough.
The main takeaway is that you should not lose track of your work-life balance. You should still be having fun. You should still be planning trips. You should still be going out. It just requires more planning and more forethought. Another pro tip, and this is going to make me sound like such a nerd, and you're gonna be like, girl, what?
Loser.
But the study groups, if you have the right people in your study group, will become fun. When you're studying, it will start to get fun. You will be laughing, you will be joking. So it's like, I studied all these hours, yes, but I had a good kiki, a good laugh, a healthy amount of fun with it as well. So you might as well kill two birds with one stone, is all I'm saying. What is the hardest part of medical school? In my opinion, the hardest part of medical school is being an adult. Hands down, it's just being an adult. There are a lot of different people who would go to medical school. Some people had a whole career before this. Some people have lived whole lives before this. Me, I was only a year removed from college when I came in. So of course, I've been an adult. That's not the issue. The issue is having more responsibilities now and still having to be an adult. And like that goes for everybody. It doesn't just go for medical school, but that has probably been the hardest issue just because life always wants to hit around exam time. And I rebuke that for the second semester because sis, if you're gonna be inconvenient, can you at least consult my Google Calendar first? Like, rude. Okay, aside from just life being life, the second hardest part has to be having no breaks. And I know I said earlier in the video that you have to schedule your own breaks. That is the truth. Because technically, we only had 3 official breaks, which was Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. I was in the middle of September clinging to the thought of Thanksgiving, saying, I just gotta make it to Thanksgiving. I just gotta make it to Thanksgiving. I was like, if I can make it to Thanksgiving just to have a clear mind, just to not pick up a laptop, just to not pick up an iPad, I will be fine. Because after Thanksgiving, it's just the end. It's finals. I've got like to grind it out for like 2.5 more weeks and I'll be fine. And that's what happened. Of course, you know, I had breaks for myself that I made. There were weekends that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm taking this weekend for me. I'm hanging out this weekend. I'm going to have fun this weekend. But it really begins to get like, oh my gosh, I have not had a break since Labor Day. And when people ask me how I'm doing, like, I'm happy. I'm happy here. I'm doing fine. The only thing is my concept of time is like, I'm in the metaverse. I think I've been here for a year. I've only been here for half a year, more like 4 months. And it's just like, girl, like my mind has been running. But that's just how medical school is what I chalked it up to be. And I'm okay with that. I can live with that. So on to what my favorite parts of medical school are. Top number 1 has to be my Google Calendar. I'm obsessed with her. Secondly, has to be the support from the school. The professors, the faculty truly want you to be there. This is not a weed out institution. We left that back in undergrad. Once you step through those doors, once you press accept, I'm coming, they want you to come to medical school and they want you to be a fantastic physician. All of my professors have been very passionate about what they do in the clinic and outside of the clinic. One could be into global health, one could be into health policy. And when they teach, even though most of what they're teaching is clinical, they make sure to implement parts of their passions into their lectures. And I really appreciate that because it gives students an opportunity to be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I could see myself doing that. My school in particular, I know that of course they want to make us clinicians, but it almost feels that is the secondary mission for them. Their primary mission is to just make us well-rounded professionals. They want us to be efficient practitioners in the clinic, of course, but they're not here to just produce another white coat or just produce another person to staff a hospital, but they truly want you to be well-rounded and truly want you to engage in whatever community that you end up working in. And not only do they want you to engage, but they want you to enjoy it. Whether that be through health policy, whether that be through urban and community health, global health. I think they're really great at giving you the tools to help you find where you fit. So last but certainly not least, what have I realized since being in medical school? So I knew that I wanted to go to medical school since a very young age. So that has been like my top priority, my top goal for the majority of my life. And now that I've reached that goal, I have to now set new goals. And although the obvious thing would be like, well, girl, the next goal is to be a doctor. Well, yes, that's true. The next goal is to be a doctor. It's to match. It's to go into the profession I want to be in. But it also means, what do I envision for myself outside of just practicing in the clinic? So for me, I have an interest in health policy. So it's important for me that I have a career that incorporates that. I want to be able to work with communities, for communities, and be able to be an advocate for not just my patients, but just whole populations of people. I want that to be a part of my career. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me. That's what I want. And it's very exciting for me to just think about what else I want to do with my white coat, what else I want to pursue, and just recognize that outside of medicine, I have other passions, and it still leaves rooms for me to pursue those. So I'm really excited just to see what else I will do with my white coat, what else I will pursue outside of medicine. And I think it's important that pre-meds or anyone else who is interested in going into medicine realize that being a doctor is not the end-all, be-all. And that should be something that your medical school is teaching you. There are places for you both in the clinic and outside of the clinic. You are not limited to just practicing medicine. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's really exciting. I'm just so excited to see where I end up, where my peers end up, and what we end up doing. I know that just I'll rip the people they are now. I know they're going to be great doctors. So, to finally answer the question, is medical school really giving what it's supposed to be? And the answer simply is yes. There has not been a day where I felt like I could not survive this, I could not make it to the next day, and that I could not thrive here. So, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe and stay blessed.